Welcome to the Inside LBI podcast, where we go over all things LBI from inside of Beach House Realty in Ship Bottom, New Jersey. We have special guest Ann Coen with Ann Coen Photography and Studios. I am your host, Mike Spark, joined by my co-host, Kevin Bergen.
Welcome, Ann Coen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pretty
for having
famous
me.
LBI name.
Oh, goodness.
I know, but it is.
And we're the first ones to get her on a podcast.
First time
exciting.
ever on a podcast for
Love
Ann
it.
Coen.
I love it.
This
I'm
is great.
excited.
Kayla could have done this for
Oh
you,
my
but
goodness. Well, it might go on and on. If
yeah,
we
well,
had
it
done
could
that.
be, but yeah.
That's all right. We'll take advantage of the brief time we have with you.
I love
Right.
it. I'm excited.
So, first and foremost, tell us your quick story on how you got into photography.
Out of college, I majored in economics and business at Rutgers. I got out and decided I didn't want to do that and started traveling with my friends. I did a backpacking trip around the South Pacific, and I bought a camera while I was in Australia and just started shooting. When I got home, I took one black and white photography class at OCC. Really, really loved it. And that summer, I had come down to LBI for the first time ever. I was actually competing in a wakeboard contest. And my ex-husband, John Coen, actually interviewed me. He was working for the Islander at the time. And we started dating, and I just kept shooting. And a year later, a full-time job opened up at the Islander and Gannett. So it was the year they switched to digital. They handed me a bag of equipment. I had no idea what to do with it.
Mike Spark had been waiting for this break in his career
Yeah, right.
for 5 years, and she did it wakeboarding.
Well, there was no, listen, the salary wasn't a lot, and it was just, I was just excited to do it because I never thought I could be a photographer, and there was,
And look at you now.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's really crazy. Like, I remember those years, people being like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I would love to get paid to take photos, and never thinking that it could happen.
Did you want to get paid to be a wakeboarder?
I loved wakeboarding, but I was pretty practical. I knew that wasn't like a future. I loved doing it. I was a competitive snowboarder and wakeboarder, but I knew that was it was fun.
It was going to catch up with you eventually. huh?
Yeah, and it was also
old
like
age.
not practical. I wanted a family and all that,
Wow.
So being from Long Beach Island, you started your photo career at the newspaper.
I did.
And what was your first what was your first paid event?
The very first day I was on the job, there was an accident on the parkway. I'll never forget it. It was in the winter, and they were like, you have to go down there and shoot it. I remember
wow.
just driving around in like the backwoods. I had no idea of this area. I had never been down here.
Where were you from?
I grew up in Bricktown and Point Pleasant.
Okay.
So not too far, but I had just never come this far
North
south.
County, as we call it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was my first job, and I just remember having no idea what to do, running around on the parkway looking for this accident. So that was like my first day on
Not
the
to
job.
mention you're in traffic, and you're like, how do I get
I
to the
literally
accident?
was like parked on the side of the parkway. It was crazy. And so I will say that like every day was something different. And I always tell photographers when they start, I'm like, shoot everything. Like, I think working for the newspaper, whether you make a lot of money or not, like, you're in a different position every day. You go from a ribbon cutting to something on the beach, something at a school, an accident. Like, it's crazy.
Keep shooting is the advice, right?
You keep shooting,
You
but
don't
it's
know what's
also
going to be
like,
the picture.
Yeah.
The money shot, as they say around here.
But it's sometimes just documenting. So it's just, it was interesting. I learned a lot.
And what would you say is kind of your your favorite events to photograph? Are they weddings? Are they sports? Are they people? Are they?
I mean, I really do. I do love the weddings. I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm way more comfortable now at these jobs than I was when I started. So I think that makes it better. I really get to know everybody, and I enjoy that. But to be honest, I mean, I love it the most when I'm out on my boat with a camera and I have nowhere to be.
So we're kind of segueing into where I'm going with this next. So being out on your boat, shooting the nature of
That's my favorite.
Barnegat Inlet, High Bar Harbor, brings us into this fine art realm, which isn't necessarily reporting or shooting for hire, but this is you exploring the art of photography yourself.
Yeah.
And then, so where are you showcasing your art? Are you showcasing your art? And
And what does it look like? What is it?
What's your focus? What?
Mike has the inside scoop here, but our listeners don't know.
So it's the complete opposite of what I do for work. It's completely opposite from the weddings and the high paced of, all that stuff. It's kind of just being patient and waiting for something to kind of happen and just being there in that moment. You have to know the tides. You have to know what's going on with the moon and the sun and all that stuff. And you can get yourself in a really good position. And sometimes you don't know what you're looking for, but you're just in this spot and something happens and there it is. And, last year I did a show at the end of the summer. I have a pop-up gallery in Beach Haven that we'll talk about, but I went out on the boat one morning on a super foggy morning with no expectations. I was just drinking my coffee and had my camera. And it was probably one of the most memorable days I've ever taken photos. The fog kept coming up and down and the clouds were amazing. And I ended up with a whole gallery show out of a 2-hour just sitting in the boat. And I just loved it. I was like, it was the first body of work that I was like, I'm really proud of this,
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen often. You can be shooting every day, but it's not like you could take 1 million pictures. And for me, it's like I'm very picky with what is going to end up on the walls,
Of course.
A different life, kind of. You're into the Zen scene there in the present moment,
as I get
waiting
older,
for something to happen. Right?
It's definitely. I need those moments of Zen more and more.
Everybody does. And
Everyone does.
It's hard to convince people that they're living in the present moment.
It's you have to.
We're too busy rushing it by. But photography kind of it stops that. It stops time. It stops events. It captures every emotion that we have, and that's kind of the beauty of what you do, what you photographers, and including our buddy Mike over here, do.
I know.
Weddings, etc. My daughter Katie actually does them too. So
nice.
Kind of thank you for that. But when you take that to nature, I guess that's a whole different scene, isn't it?
And I guess we're kind of spoiled having such a beautiful inlet at
Oh
our,
my goodness.
I won't say disposal, at our access.
So we don't have a bad canvas hanging out on the sandbar.
I mean, living in Barnegat Light it's so special, even in the winter. It's you walk up to the beach. I have the dike at the end of my road to be able to take the boat over behind Island Beach. I mean, it's magical. Like I just can't even believe that we're this close to it, and it's right there. So
and that you can just make a cup of coffee, start the boat, and seek adventure.
I'm so grateful for that. And having the boat was like a huge piece of it because I knew where I wanted to be, but I needed the boat to get out there.
Right.
You really have to be out there and plan your timing and everything. But it's everything,
Tell us about your aforementioned pop-up store in Beach Haven.
Yeah. So so I had a gallery in Surf City for years and I sold the building after COVID in 2021. And so I went a year I built a studio in my backyard, but last year there was a space in Beach Haven that was sitting empty and it was such a cool building. And I kind of did a little research to see, what was going on with it. And they said they were tearing the building down, but it was going to sit one more summer. So, I spoke to the owner and he said, let's do it. You could have it till Labor Day. And I just wanted to create something that showcased the artists that are on the island. There's no galleries on the south end of the island. There's not one. There's not one in Beach Haven.
And not many on the north end either.
It's really interesting because everywhere I travel, I mean, there are numerous galleries in every town. There's numerous bands every night. Like there's things going on besides just going to the bar and you know what I mean? So it's kind of like I wanted to create this alternative space where artists could come, be together, kind of feed off each other, music, movies, art, whatever, And I packed the summer last year. We did 11 events through the summer and I had tons of artists and tons of things going on and it was awesome. We ended the summer and it was like, wow, we just did so much. And we did that on top of all the work that we do.
Did the building go away and we don't have that now?
So the building was under contract and I guess the contract fell through, and I got a call the last week of May, which, as you know, our season's already started. But it was available again, and I said, let's do it. So I'm doing it again this summer. I have it till Labor Day, and I'm just lining up the weeks, trying to plan events for every Thursday and have a handful of artists doing different things, all types of artists. And then we're just open the rest of the week. But Thursdays are the later nights that I try to have a lot going on.
What will happen to the concept after that? Hopefully it doesn't close down. What will happen to the concept of, a gallery going forward? How do we, it seems like it's something we should be looking into.
Yeah, it's I want to keep doing it for as long as I can, but realistically, there's not much space on the island for one. And
right.
To be honest, it's with the rents that are charged, it would be very difficult to make a living, so it's kind of like an extra thing for me now. But it's kind of where I would see my future.
So you've really clung to this fine art.
Well, I enjoy it. And I enjoy working with different artists, obviously meeting people, networking people, putting people together. I love when it's exciting. You find somebody and you get their work out there and people are introduced to them that never saw them. It's great. I love it.
We went to the pop-up at Black Eyed Susan's.
Oh, it was great.
Which, in all fairness, I never thought of it as a gallery space. And after you produced that show, not only was it beautifully done, there's a ton of wall space because of the architecture of the building.
It's a really awesome space up there. And Ashley Pellegrino was really, really grateful to her because she really just gave us the kind of free reign up there. And it was a great night.
Yeah.
You would think the townships would be able to sponsor kind of a roving
artist, revolving door of pop-up art.
Especially in the winter, we have judges' chambers and rooms and courtrooms and conference rooms where, that's probably a vehicle to explore, starting with Mancini, or if you live in Barnegat Lake, Kirk, and say, can we, in September feature this person and October feature that person for a week or however you do that. But I think there's your free space. There's no charge for this consulting advice. It comes free for being for being on the podcast where we're going to give you an idea.
Listen, I say it all the time. I'm like, I would love to do something year round because there's a year round community here that always is looking for things to do.
And that's growing after COVID, as Gwen said, Gretchen said, it's kind of getting bigger.
We have all these new homes that need art, and what better way to fill a home with locally curated art?
And even if people aren't buying the art, it's just like inspiring, to have somewhere to go to see new artists and what they're doing, and painters and photographers and
to see the island in somebody else's viewfinder or somebody else's mind.
Right. And like we had Aaron Karp from LBI from above before, he's painting a beautiful scene from LBI from above.
Yep.
And whereas you're showcasing the inlet and the harbor, and there's just so many avenues in which people don't normally see other than coming over the bridge and walking up to the beach.
Not everybody has a boat or access to a boat.
LBI Luxury Charters.
They can get on one with LBI Luxury Charters. Shameless plug from Michael.
I love it.
Yeah.
But they don't. Even the people who are here for a week or whatever weekend, to be able to get that out in front of people so they could see what it's like to be on the bay on a foggy day. And
people don't even believe when I tell them where some of these photos are taken. I'm like, it's literally right there, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, that's our backyard.
It's the backyard.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
So digressing from kind of your fine art and your love for, finding the love in photography still, you also have a team that supports the day-to-day efforts. Can you talk more about Ann Coen Studios and who they are and what they do?
Absolutely. So Ann Coen Studios is my crew that over the years, once I did decide to open my own business, it kind of just grew naturally. I didn't plan for this, but, I started with Alex Rivera is my main photographer, and he's been with me this is his 17th summer.
17 years.
Wow. 17 years.
If that's not loyalty, I don't know what is.
Like he's my longest partner. He's amazing. And we started and we just got to a point where we're like, we need somebody else. And, kind of just needed, look, for me, this is my family. Like I'm with these people all the time. It's got to jive in every way. So, my next person that I hired was Ryan Johnson. He actually came to me and he was 19 years old, like just picked up a camera, but here's a kid who was hungry. And I don't know if either of you know Ryan's work, but he's become an accomplished photographer. He's
absolutely
unbelievable. So, so then it was, me, Alex, and Ryan for a little bit. And then next thing I was like, we need somebody else. And then Kayla kind of came into the picture and started helping. And then it got to the point where I'm like, if I don't hire a manager to help me with these phone calls and emails, we're going down, because I was not only doing all the shooting, but all the back end work. So I found Carly Sullivan. She was our missing piece of the puzzle, and my life has changed. So now I only have a manager, and I've been training her to shoot as well.
Ooh.
And then after Carly, we hired Josh Ketchum, who is another accomplished photographer, and he's only 27 years old.
And his stuff is absolutely killer.
Amazing.
Not to mention, he's risking it for
the
the
storms,
shot.
I know.
If you want to see some beautiful storm coverage, Josh Ketchum is your guy. It's just so good.
He came on in the beginning of 2021 and just was hungry again. So it was kind of like, it kind of like happened. It just kind of happened. And now here I am. And I have Tony Coon, who's a videographer, who's actually shooting a short film right now in LBI. So, we're all doing not only our stuff together, but, I really want each of my people to have their own autonomy. I want people to know Josh Ketchum. I want people to know Ryan Johnson. And, I'm here for them, and they're here for me, I mean,
in times of need.
Look, I'm not going to be able to shoot for probably till September right now. And, it's a team effort.
And when they get your personality, your flavor, your viewpoint, then it's easier, to replicate yourself if they're apprentices under your.
Ryan's going on 11 years. I mean, this is not like it's a 1 or 2 year thing. Josh is going on 4. So it's
they know what to do.
They know what to do.
You have some quality retainment.
Yeah. And you know what? I think people know that when they call me, they know whoever I send out is going to be good.
Right.
And we're on it, and we're communicative, and we do a great job. And I'm so proud of everybody. And I'm so proud of what we have accomplished, because I think for small business owners, I think most people would say finding good work is one of the toughest things, good workers. And I can honestly say that I've found the greatest punch. So I'm super proud of everybody.
And it's happened organically.
It really has.
A lot of talent here on LBI.
Yeah. And it's I don't know. We just all have each other's backs, and that's the most important thing.
But where do you see Ann Coen Studios, Ann Coen personally, going in the future?
I mean, I would like to, I've kind of gotten away a little bit from doing the beach portraits and things like that. Not that I don't like it. It just, I would rather be doing the fine art work or the gallery work, or kind of putting things together for the crew. I would love to have a permanent space on the island where I could be running events, whether it's a gallery or anything. I mean,
kind of a gallery plus, isn't it?
Yeah, like I have a million ideas.
An event space.
An event space. Like I would love to run small events in a gallery. Like, I don't know, like there's a million things.
Of course.
And there's a need for it on the island.
Music, movies, film.
Everything.
Photos.
Everything.
Mike, aren't you a realtor on the side? I mean, not just
Mike,
a podcast.
I guess we're going to have to keep our
eyes open for sure.
I know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I have tons of ideas, but I do really enjoy having the pop up and running, putting artists together and all that kind of stuff.
So Ann, in starting a business 20 something years ago, did you ever think it was going to be this big? And kind of what's been the driving factor that keeps this small business and this this mentality going? Can you go into that entrepreneurial side of things?
I always knew I wanted my own business. What it was, I didn't know. So when I picked up a camera and that all started happening, it was done. It was like, I'm doing this.
This is your avenue. I'm taking it.
Yeah. Like I was like, here it is.
So
like,
the economics degree did pay off.
I think listen, it always helps. I mean, look, it was business school, you know, just getting through it, you learn a lot, you know, forget the classes. But I loved, my dad always had his own business. So I loved that entrepreneurial spirit, and I loved, you know, meeting new people and putting them together. And I think that's why I love the pop-up so much is, you know, maybe somebody who's just starting, you put them together with somebody who's a little bit more seasoned, and you can watch that person just kind of get that little bit of inspiration and confidence, and it takes them to the next step. And that's what you need. And that's what it's all about. And, you know, owning your own business it's your baby. It's part of your life. And it's, there's a lot to it, and you have to love it or you're not going to succeed. And, you know, when you meet other like-minded people, which there are a lot of them on LBI.
Yeah, which we've discovered and will continue to unravel here.
Goodness.
And forecast. It's a place that fosters that.
It
LBI.
does. And it's, you know, you see some people who just will complain and they're miserable, but then other people just like, they love it and they want to be there. They want to be in the trenches. They want to be, you know, they look at the summer, and it is that's what it is.
It's totally crazy. And you wake up every morning, you're like, I don't know how this timeline is going to work. It will work.
We're going to do it.
But we're going to do it anyway.
You know?
And just figure it out as we go.
I mean, my crew knows now. They've been with me long enough. I'm like, we're doing everything. Like, this is what's happening. You're done with this. You come back, you're going to do this. I mean, this is what we do. Like, people always say to me, like, okay, your name's out there. Like, you don't have to keep it out there, but like, I want to keep it out there. I want
the
to
fire
be
is still
out there.
being stoked.
It is, because it's always changing too.
Of course. And you're a yes lady. You're
I
a
am.
yes girl. Whatever happens,
we're going to do it.
We're going to make it happen.
And why not? And I think that I wish more people were like that in the world, and more things. Maybe this would be done out there. That the whole
construction she's referring to out
maybe
here.
the construction would be done if we had more people that just did it.
Just say yes. Just do it.
Just get it done.
But
people,
really, like,
now.
it's the more you talk about it, you know, just do it. So, you know, it is inspiring, and I love when I meet other people who are loving what they're doing and being inspired, and you have to stick with those people.
You feed off each other when you get that kind of an
gotta
energy.
Find your people,
right?
And I guess if you could offer a single piece of advice to somebody starting a new business here on Long Beach Island, what do you think that would be?
Oh my goodness. I mean, whatever that business is, it's kind of just, you have to be there. I think you have to be there, and you just have to do it. You know, I think too many people try to like, look, I've done everything in my business. I didn't hire anybody until I absolutely could. You know, like, you have to be in your business. And I think the businesses that are most successful, the owners are still there. They're a big portion of the business, you know, whether they're behind the counter in the kitchen or whatever, like, you have to be there. We have such a short season that it's you got to embrace it, and you just have to be part of it. So, you know, you have to be patient if you're just starting, but you just got to work.
You can't give up.
Got to get in there and do it.
Never give up.
Yeah.
Would you say about what year do you think after you started that things really started to click? Because I know that's a barrier to entry that, especially this generation, where I try it doesn't work.
Well, I will have to say that, and I will say that I think my timing here on LBI was good, because when I started, I quit my job at the Islander and I did photography full time. I mean, it was before social media. Dating myself and showing my age here, but there was no social media. I don't even think I had a cell phone. I went to every wedding venue. I went to every realtor. I gave out my cards. I introduced myself. I put a name with I'm like, hey, this is who I am. And I made some really amazing friends and contacts along the way. And that's how I started. There was no one doing what I was doing.
You'd probably make a hell of a realtor too.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to do realty, but
well,
no,
we have a desk for you upstairs.
Yeah. It's just, you have to, don't think that just doing your social media or Instagram is enough. You have to go out there and meet people. You have to get in, you know, face to face.
This is still a people business here.
Every business, you know,
Every
like
business,
you gotta, you have to talk to each other. So I think, you know, it was a few years. I mean, next year is going to be 20 years. So, once I remember quitting my job, I had 10 weddings booked. The following year I had 22 weddings booked, so that was a big deal,
Absolutely.
to me.
It's a lot of weddings.
It's a lot of weddings. And then I went to 55 weddings, and then I started hiring, and then the guys are shooting 30 to 50 weddings. So it's a lot. And the venues are not stopping down here.
Right. They keep building them, don't they?
I mean, we have job security here as long as we keep doing good work.
Everyone wants to get married at the beach.
Yeah. And as long as there's no more pandemics.
Oh my God, please. No more pandemics.
But we've struck it out anyway. We've moved on.
Yeah.
Right.
Still thriving here on
thriving.
Long Beach On.
You got to get through it and keep going.
And thank you so much for coming
you.
today. And last but not least, how do we get in touch with you and where do we find you?
So the easiest way is my website has all my information. It's just anncoen.com. Email, Instagram is just Ann Coen Photography. I have a Facebook page. The telephone number's on the website. So any of those ways is the best way, really. Whatever works for you guys.
Awesome. And the pop-up studio?
The pop-up studio, I've been putting all of the information for the pop-up on Instagram and Facebook every week. I mean, pretty much every day I'm putting our hours, who's going to be there, and all the information on.
Excellent.
So probably social media and my email blasts are the best way to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This has been such a treat to have you on.
Thank you. I loved it.
And we hope to have you on again.
I would love to.
Great meeting you. Thank you.
I loved my first podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
and where
so
will we
much.
see her, Kevin?
We'll see you on the beach.
Love it.
We'll see you on the beach.
I'll be there.